questions answered. We are recording, so this recording will be available on our YouTube channel by the end of the week. So we're just going to go ahead and get started with things. I'm going to hand it off to our president, Mr. Bach, who's going to lead us in a prayer and some opening remarks.
Thank you, Charles. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be back with you again and talking. Communication, as we've always said, is a key. The partnership between us and you, and the way we communicate, the ability to communicate, the trust we have in one another is critical to providing your child with a great high school education. And so we are always grateful for these opportunities to come together. As we begin every day at Holy Trinity, let's put ourselves in the presence of God and begin with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. By the power of your holy cross, transform our hearts and minds, that in your name we may transform the world. Provident God, we give you thanks for the Holy Trinity family, our dedicated parents, energetic students, committed faculty, and staff members, our model, the Brothers of Holy Cross, our donors and board members, and our network of alumni around the nation and the world. Grant us the ability to see the good in all people. Give us the humility to see ourselves and others with clear vision, respect, and love. Provide us your courage and compassion so that together we may meet the challenges of this next semester, and make us have the passion to resolve all things for building a better world that is just and humane. Oh Lord, thank you for the opportunity to meet tonight, to exchange ideas and plans to work together. And of course, as always, please pray for us, the Brothers of Holy Cross, our founder, Basil Moreau, our brother Andre Bissett, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, as you can imagine, it has been anything but a very relaxing Christmas holiday and break for all of us. At the center of all our concerns is always what is best for the students of Holy Trinity. What's the safest thing for them? What's the best way for them to learn? As you all are aware, it became evident to all of us in the administration after studying CDC, all local news, talking to other principals and presidents at other schools, that going back when we originally planned the first week in January just did not seem to be the most prudent move for the safety of all. So therefore, we made a decision that gave us all an opportunity we hope to plan, to prepare, and to get ready for remote learning. But at this point, we want to talk about getting back to in-person school. We are hopeful that the delay gave us all an opportunity to make sure that we were safe, and all the things that we've been doing in preparation of in-person school as well. So tonight, we're going to tell you a little bit about our plan. We're going to entertain any questions that you may have, but please know that we have balanced as best as we possibly can information that is available to us about the health and safety with COVID restraints, and also the knowledge that most of our students learn best by being in school. So with that introduction, I'll turn it over to Ms. Mahone, and she can talk through some of the things that we have planned for the return of in school, believe it or not, next week. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Bob, and it's a pleasure to be here. Welcome. Thank you for participating on our town hall meeting, and thank you for having me. Tonight's presentation, I would like to go over the #1 hot topic, COVID-19 updates, in-person learning, and what that looks like coming back into the building next week, January 18th. I'm also going to discuss the academics, in-person clubs and activities, what that looks like, our current sports season, and some lunch updates that we've modified temporarily. I will also share out Dean Wallace's some of her updates that she'll be sharing out next week. So let's get right into it. And as I'm going through the hot topics, you can put your questions. I believe, Charles, you have questions in the Q&A, but we are limited on time. We will be ending exactly at 7:00 p.m. tonight. So if we do not get to all of your questions, please feel free to email me, and then I can follow up via email. So to start off with COVID-19 updates. So the days leading up to finals week, the days leading up to December, we saw a spike in cases here at HT. Unfortunately, we had to cancel our band. We had a band performance scheduled that same day we had to cancel. And just after looking at the numbers and reviewing our COVID cases, we decided as a committee, a leadership committee, to go full remote learning. We knew that during that time, during the holidays, families would be getting together for Christmas and for New Year's. And so we felt, just like as Mr. Bob said, it would be best to give your families enough time to plan, and we would return back in the building January 18th. Today, we had a COVID test. The name of the vendor is called MME Group, and they will be our vendor from this point moving forward. Take COVID-19 PCR test. We're using that information to get a baseline of where we are, and we'll be gathering that data. We are also asking that you continue to provide your vaccination cards if you have it. If you are unvaccinated, it will be mandatory for all students to take weekly COVID-19 tests. So, you know, the value of in-person instruction is very important to me, to the school community, and for your students. And so just getting them back acclimated in the building day one, we have a few presentations that we will share with them of expectations back in the building first period. So that day, and I will share this out via email, and I know Charles and I have been discussing the calendar date of January 18th. The schedule will be an alternate schedule where students will meet first period with their first period teacher for about a 45-minute to an hour presentation from the dean and myself in regards to expectations for the lunch cafeteria, as well expectations in homeroom, as well as some policy changes that were modified in the handbook. And I'll go through what that looks like in a few minutes. We will be on schedule 4B. Mr. Jefferson, I just wanted to update you on that, is schedule 4B. And we'll send out information on that schedule starting Tuesday. So going into the COVID testing, as I said, all unvaccinated students must submit weekly COVID-19 tests. We will host from the MME group Tuesdays and Thursdays testing from 2 to 4 in room 102. Failure to adhere to that policy will result in a conference call with your student. So please make sure that your students are getting tested if they are unvaccinated. If they are vaccinated, please provide all vaccination cards to Ms. Saavedra. She will be keeping count of those results. And we want to mitigate as much as possible any crowding in the building, anything that may subject our students to the virus. So we are tightening up those procedures. That leads me into the next topic of lunch. Lunch will now temporarily be held in the homeroom classes. So all students will eat their lunches in homeroom. And what that looks like, students will start in their assigned homeroom. The cafeteria will not be in use for lunch. Students will be called by floor to go down if they'd like to get a lunch from the cafeteria. And then they'll check out their lunch and then return back to their homeroom to eat in their homeroom classroom. And that will begin this Tuesday, January 18th. Students who want a school lunch will be dismissed, like I said, by floor. We will be having cleaning done throughout the day. Students will throw away their trash in the hallway in a garbage bin that we have for trash. And we just want to have a better grasp of contact tracing. So we know if in the case something did happen and a student was caught the virus, we knew exactly what room they were in and what students they were around. So if a student does test positive, we'll have a better way of notifying the families where students were during lunch and homeroom. To aid in this, selected faculty and staff will be dispatched on each floor to help assist. We will also have the cafeteria help the monitors help monitor the crowds and continue to ensure the protocols in the building. Breakfast will continue as served as planned in the cafeteria in the morning. Students who intend to eat breakfast will be allowed in. All other students must report to the auditorium as normal in the morning until the first bell dismisses them to their first period class. So again, Tuesday, January 18th, we're on Schedule B. Students will report to their first period class where they will start with a live presentation, a virtual live presentation from Dean Wallace. Dean Wallace will present policy changes in regards to the cell phone. And I can get right into what those expectations are in a few minutes, but she will also discuss again and reiterate the message for the cafeteria and expectations on picking up a lunch and returning immediately back to homeroom. Clubs and activities will be allowed in person and to meet with their moderator. We're just asking that the moderators, again, follow the protocols. All students must wear a mask at all times, social distance whenever possible, and please make sure that students are not eating in the classrooms. That's very important. We need to make sure they keep their mask on. The students that are not in an active club or a sport or some activity that's planned, we are asking that the students leave the building by 3:30. We need the students, if they're not part of any activity in the school, to leave by 3:30. Some other topics I like to go over. So a reminder again, so anybody, any student, family member, especially students, if you feel like you have a cold or a flu or some type of virus, please stay home. Do not come to the school to get tested. Stay home and then bring back a negative COVID-19 test. Please provide those results again to Ms. Saavedra. For sports, our girls basketball season has been canceled, unfortunately, due to other teams and sports players canceling due to COVID or low participation. We will finish out the season for the boys basketball team, which is still active. COVID-19 reminders in regards to unvaccinated students. Again, I must reiterate, we will start January 18th. All unvaccinated students must submit a weekly COVID test. Okay, you can test here at Holy Trinity or you can test at your local neighborhood pharmacy, but you do have to provide some proof that your child has been tested. If they have not been tested, proof of vaccination cards. Cell phone policy. We'll go into that right now. I know that's been a hot topic from the dean's area, and she'll go into more of those details on Tuesday. But the cell phone policy has been modified. Cell phones are to be put away and out of sight every day. If a staff or faculty member sees a phone in the hallway, classroom or bathroom, they are instructed to turn it into the main office, and the guardian has to retrieve the cell phone. Phones may be locked away in their lockers or on their persons as long as they're out of sight and put away in the classroom hallways or restrooms. Exceptions are if your teacher allows the student to use their phone for class and they're being used for a class activity. Now, here's the big key change in the policy. Cell phones are allowed during lunch periods. So that's the updated policy. Cell phones are allowed during lunch periods, only in the designated eating area. So in homeroom, students are allowed. It states not homeroom, but since students are eating in homeroom during their lunch period in homeroom, they can use their cell phones. Now, when that time ends, when it's time for homeroom to start, they'll still be in the same space. They must turn off their phone and put it away. The exceptions for the first few weeks of schools when we're eating in our homerooms, and it's up to the teacher's discretion. So there is some flexibility for teachers to allow them to continue to use their phone. If a student needs to contact the house, please have your child report to the front office to use the main phone throughout the school day. If you have any questions, please contact Dean Wallace, and she will share out more information on Tuesday. So report cards, let's switch gears and get into academics. I know I've received quite a few phone calls and emails about report cards. The first batch of report cards that were sent out we had the in-progress report. We followed up with the second batch of reports that included the final test, which was the semester grade. It included the first and second quarter. I know there were a few report cards that had a couple of discrepancies, which we've adjusted. So please reach out to me if there's any questions in regards to report cards. We did change learning platforms, student information platforms last year. And in that conversion, there were a few things that we had to modify in order to make sure all the data was current. So again, I do understand there was a little confusion, but we did fix it. And if you have questions about report cards, please email me and we'll make sure that you get the accurate information. Moving forward in the calendar, we will have an awards, an academic values award ceremony. That will be planned for February 3rd. More information is to come. We will have that right after school at 1:30. There will be a virtual option for parents to sign in. It's mandatory for students to attend from 1:30 until 3 o'clock. So our academic values award ceremony will be held February 3rd. And there will be a virtual option for parents. Right after at 3 o'clock, there's a small special ceremony for invited students on special awards that were special recognition awards in room 102. And that was a rescheduled date from December due to COVID e-learning. I believe that is it for now. I know I shared a lot of information, but most importantly, we're excited to have your students back in the building, getting them back acclimated to their routines, meeting with their teachers, starting the new schedules. I'm excited to see them face to face and really just be here for them. We still have our counselors here. We have our outside agencies here to help with social emotional learning. And so we have all of those supports here, as well as our RLC for tutoring. So please, please, please feel free to reach out if you have questions, if you have some concerns about getting more supports for your students. I know it's a difficult time right now, and we are truly here to help you and your family and make sure that your students succeed. So thank you for listening. And I know there's questions popping up in the chat, so I'm more than happy to answer.
Yeah, let me just get these a couple questions out of the way, and then we'll need to move on. And just FYI, we will follow this up with written email communication with all of this information a little bit later this week. So stay tuned for that. But a couple of questions that we just had come through within the last few minutes is, one question is going back to lunch and having students eat lunch in the homerooms is, well, how about, or what about the students in band who don't have homeroom every day?
Yes.
What's the situation for them?
Yes, so I spoke to the band teacher earlier today. The student will grab their lunch, take 5 to 7 minutes and go return back to band to eat with their band teacher, or to eat with their homeroom and then to band. So we allotted 5 to 7 minutes for that transition time after they've eaten with their homeroom.
Okay, and then last question is that would teachers and faculty or staff for that matter be enforcing sending students home if they identify a student is sick?
Yes, so that has always been the case. If a student is suspected sick, whether it's a fever, a cough, a sneeze, we call the student's parents, ask the parent to pick the student up, and we require a negative COVID-19 test upon return to the school. Unvaccinated students, if they do not provide either a weekly test, proof of a weekly test, we will have to ask the student to stay home until they are able to get tested.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for those questions, and thank you, Ms. Mahone, for all of that information. We're going to move on for this in terms of time. I would like to give Mr. Malloy an opportunity to sort of give us any more information that we need to know here in this space about the lunch program and any changes. We've already heard from Mrs. Mahone about the temporary change in lunch, but Mr. Malloy, do you have any other information that parents and folks should know tonight about the lunch program?
Sure. Just to reiterate, we see the cafeteria as, one of the weaknesses of our whole approach in terms of having students in the cafeteria. They have to take off their masks to eat and drink. So we're trying to take extra steps with this new Omicron variant to try to eliminate, that weakness that we see in our approach throughout the day. So we realize that lunch is an important time for students, especially socially. So we are committed to this being a temporary change. We would like to see them back in the cafeteria with their friends from, different grades and different classes and different homerooms. But for now, we appreciate them bearing with us. If they would like to get a school lunch, they should go down when their floor is called to pick it up and then come back to their room. If they're bringing lunch from home, there's no reason for them to have to go down to the cafeteria at all. And then for breakfast in the mornings, we would only like students who are planning to eat breakfast to join us in the cafeteria. If they are looking to socialize or get work done and not eat, the auditorium will be open and supervised, which is a more appropriate place. They can keep their masks on throughout that whole time before school. I also wanted to just give a 5-minute warning that if you're interested in applying for the Empower Illinois Tax Credit Scholarship, that window is opening up at 6:30, and the Big Shoulder Scholarship tax credit is opening up tomorrow at 8 a.m. So I just put in the chat the address for the Empower Illinois website.
All right.
So there was a question about dropping students off in the morning. Will they be in the cafeteria? They have a choice. If they'd like to eat breakfast, they should go to the cafeteria. If they're not interested in breakfast, they just want to maybe talk with friends or work on homework, they should go to the auditorium.
All right. There is another question here in the chat. Let me just back up a minute. Ms. Mahone, perhaps you can answer this. It's about report cards. Question is last year the report cards had the attendance record information, but the recent report card doesn't. And why is that? Question.
Yes, so we do have an option for attendance. I think when it was submitted, that box was not checked to include attendance. We are in the process of fixing some errors through our management system, and we can send out a progress report, an updated progress report for third quarter, which will include attendance. So just bear with us and you will see the attendance on the next progress check report. We're just working out some errors on the back end with our new system. So if you would like to know immediately, I could send you, if you email me directly, I could send you a report card with your students' attendance for this point in time.
New question also about report cards is, will the or was the GPA supposed to be on the current report card?
That will be included on the final report card at the end of the year. It looks like Mr. Postleon.
What will be our schedule for the rest of the week, next week?
Yes, so as we have made changes for the first day back on the 18th, that will be a 4B, and I will communicate that and update that to teachers and staff, as well as students and families. So that will be a 4B, and then we will, on the 19th, go back to a Schedule 2. On the 20th, we will have Schedule 3, and on Friday, Schedule 1. And so I'll make sure that information gets sent out this week so everybody has the correct schedule before school starts.
And the Google Calendar, which is available internally as well as externally on the calendar section of our website, is in the process of being updated. So we'll have what schedule we're using each day, as well as a link back to the bail schedules on our website, so you can know each day what bail schedule is being used for that particular day. A couple other questions. We're at that point now, so we'll just answer questions as they come in. Let's see, I'll start over here. There's two questions in here about substitutes. So I'll kind of merge these two questions together. The first part is, are there subs for teachers that are out? What is the protocol if more than a few kids in the classroom are positive? And then I guess the follow-up to that would be, what happens if there is no teacher or substitute available?
So we do have subs. We do have a few long-term subs that check in early the next day or the next morning with Miss Bannon that are on call. And if there are more than 2+ teachers out, we do have Plan B for those classes. If a student or if a teacher is sick, they give us enough notice, but we are prepared if we have any last minute calls of teachers calling off. We are fully staffed now for full-time teachers. I know that was a concern last semester with a few classes, but we do have a full-time history teacher, and he will be starting, our full-time government teacher as well. He will be starting on the 18th in person. We also have our other math position that was filled last semester. So we are completely staffed. As far as teachers go, just to be transparent, we did have a few faculty members that did contact COVID, but they are fully recovered and they are negative. And so all teachers are expected to be back in the building on the 18th, fully recovered, and those staff members that were sick.
Next question is that what if you do not want your child to attend a school with the numbers continuously going up? Is there an option, or is there an option for remote instruction?
As of right now, no, but we are monitoring. That's why we're collecting the data starting today with the baseline of how many students are vaccinated, unvaccinated, how many students did contract COVID or not, and we are monitoring those numbers. If we do get to a point where we have to reevaluate and reassess back to e-learning, we will keep you posted and informed in enough notice to plan. But we are full in person starting the 18th, and that's the plan moving forward until the end of the school year.
This will be a follow-up question to that is that at what point does the school decide to go remote? What is the metric? Should there be an outbreak?
So we've talked about test to stay. We've looked at different numbers, percentages of a threshold because the numbers have increased across the city. CPS has increased tremendously as well. We are at a much lower rate than the public schools that we're compared to. So we're in a pretty good position to feel safe, and we have the precautions in place. So we are looking at the test to stay option.
All right. It is, let's see, seniors who are applying to college need the GPA included from last semester for scholarship consideration and/or acceptance. Waiting until May may be too late or might be too late. I think that's a comment from the last question about GPAs on report cards.
Yeah, so we do have the current GPAs here in-house, and all of that will be communicated through the counselors and transcripts. That will not, it may not be on your report card, but it is on a transcript. So you can get that information now.
I guess speaking on counselors, this next question is when will there be a meeting about college applications or any information about college?
So they are usually pretty good at scheduling any information about colleges or college planning. I'm looking at the calendar for January, but I will definitely ask and have them follow up with you when that date will start. I don't see anything scheduled for January on the school calendar, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have something scheduled on their calendar. So I will take note of that question and have them follow up with you.
Another question is how often should the kids in sports be tested?
So our sports players are tested weekly, and they are also tested a day prior with a rapid test a day prior to the game. So they may get tested up to 2 times a week, depending on how many games they have.
Is there a graduation date set? And the answer to that is yes. Graduation is currently scheduled for Saturday, June 4th, 2022. And when we have more information about sort of logistics about graduation, of course, we will share those out, but graduation is currently scheduled for Saturday, June 4th. Okay, what will the school be doing to prevent COVID as a whole, as the school taking into consideration that the new variants are highly transmissible? I think we touched on that a little bit earlier, just about some of the new temporary measures that we are putting in place to try to mitigate as much transmission as we possibly can. And this is, I guess, open to you, Ms. Mahone, or Mr. Malloy, or Mr. Bob, if you guys want to chime into that. But I think we're doing everything that we possibly can to try to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, we looked at areas where there would be a lot of students in the same area at the same time. So we wanted to make sure there was crowd control. And that's one of the reasons why we've decided to move students from having lunch in the cafeteria into their homeroom classes temporarily. So instead of sitting with a group of 75 plus students in the cafeteria at the same time, they will be sitting with 20 or less students spaced apart in their homeroom and social distance. for that time. And we can contact trace a lot easier because they're confined to just that classroom and not a whole bunch of students in the same area at the same time.
Have we considered going back to the hybrid model that we did last school year?
Yes, we've discussed that in our meetings. At this time, we feel it is best to have all students back in the building on a consistent schedule and helping support their academics and social emotional learning.
We just have a couple other questions here in a few minutes. If a student that is not vaccinated tests positive, would they be able to get their work from their teachers while they are at home recovering?
Absolutely, yes. So we are not penalizing and punishing students academically if they got COVID. We will make accommodations for those students. We will make sure that they get the right materials and resources. And if there's Google Meet meetings that they can link into or see pre-recorded videos or get a packet sent home, it will be based off of the individual teacher and how they work out a plan. But again, they will not be removed from the instruction due to their status.
Is there any update on the girls' soccer team?
I do not have an answer for that. I don't understand the question either. Update in regards to what?
In terms of the schedule, what I can say is that, you know, even with the boys or with the current basketball season, you know, things are being rescheduled. They're moved around because of COVID, and you know, other teams are you know, canceling and rescheduling games, and the same is you know, for some of our spring sports. So we're hoping to get, you know, schedules for some of our spring sports out and get our athletic calendar updated as soon as possible. Please understand that with this new variant, things might get rescheduled or canceled. And so, you know, we're working, you know, closely with our athletic director, Mr. Moore, with those updates, with those changes. So we'll be sure to, of course, communicate with you once we have those dates for those games and any other changes. I know there's going to be some changes to the boys basketball schedule that will get updated, and we'll communicate those new dates out shortly. Also keep in mind that, you know, for home games, we are live streaming our home games via our YouTube channel, and we'll put a link for that in the chat box where you can go to our YouTube channel and view any of our home games that way, just because we've temporarily suspended in-person spectators for the time being.
Yes, thanks,
so
Charles.
we'll have more information about team schedules and practices momentarily, just as we continue to work through some of these COVID mitigations. We'll have that information for you, and be sure to communicate that with you. We just have about a few minutes left, and I want to be sure that we get to some of these other questions. The next question is, testing is opt-out, not opt-in, and twice a week. If I'm understanding this correct, and testing is opt-out, not opt-in. Or do you mean is testing, can you opt out of testing? For the person who asked this question, is we just want to be sure that we understand the question that you asked. Is that an option?
So you can opt out of testing by providing proof of vaccination. If you do not provide proof of vaccination, you have to get tested once a week, provided free of charge at Holy Trinity on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4. You can pick your day, or it could be you know, at your own convenience at a local healthcare provider.
Okay. So next question is, why would we not let the parents decide if they would want their child or children to learn via hybrid. It's not fair that this is something that is decided by the school. There are a lot of risk factors. And I'll just kind of open that up to the rest of the panel to kind of chime in on that.
So we are monitoring our COVID cases. We are at a safe place to allow in-person learning based off of our numbers. Again, we are collecting more data, and as we follow and monitor the data that we receive from today's testing and future testings, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we will reassess, look at the numbers, and if we have considered hybrid and felt that at this point in time, we are safe to come back full in person. But if we have to reconsider other options such as hybrid or full e-learning, we will get parent involvement, and we can reach out to get your concerns and through surveys, etc. But at this point, we are in a good place to return back full-time in person.
Are exposed students isolated? I guess
So if they are vaccinated, they don't have to be isolated. Under the test to stay model of the CDC, if they're not vaccinated, they're supposed to test to stay, which means they have to test twice in the following 7 days in order to remain in school. So we're following the CDC guidelines on that. I mean, the goal is to keep students in school and to keep them learning as much as we possibly can.
Okay. There's a couple questions in here about testing in order to return to school on Tuesday. And a couple of people have asked, do students need to provide COVID tests before they can return to school?
For unvaccinated students, we are requiring a test before January or by January 18th. So if you are unvaccinated, we are mandating a COVID-19 test. You can go to your local healthcare provider. We had testing today in the building from 9 to 3. Thank you to those people that did participate. And we will continue to have COVID testing here in the building Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. in room 102. So we are asking that you show proof that if you're unvaccinated, that you show us that you have taken a recent COVID-19 test and that it is negative.
But you can take the advantage of the testing at Holy Trinity on January 18th to do that.
Correct.
So we strongly encourage everybody to get tested. That's why we hosted today's testing clinic from 9 to 3. But we encourage you, to the extent you're able, I know there's long lines in a lot of places and rapid tests are hard to come by, that you take a rapid test or a PCR test before you come back. If you have not provided proof of vaccination and you have not gotten tested, then your first required testing day will be Tuesday, January 18th. It'll be in the Brother Phil room right across from auditorium from 2 to 4 at no charge.
We have about maybe 5 minutes left. And as I said at the top of our program tonight, that, you know, people, we may not get to all of the questions, but there are a couple other questions that I want to get to before we end tonight. And if we don't answer your question, just please feel free to just follow up with us via email, and so we can get you the answers that you need. But we do have another program, tax credit scholarship program, that we're going to be hosting virtually. So we may not get to every question, but this next question is that I know that there was communication on cases, but I'm concerned my student informed me of 6 kids in class that were positive. Is there any contact tracing being done?
Yes, so that's one of the reasons, because we did see the spike in December, that we elected to go full remote, so students and faculty members can recover. And due to that, that's why we've made the adjustments to our lunch periods. Now students will eat lunch temporarily in their homerooms and continue with our safety precautions, we have our purifiers within every classroom turned on high. The classrooms have their windows cracked a few inches for ventilation. We have our newly installed fans in each classroom that pushes the air out of the window and any virus or anything out. We also have our sanitation, our hand sanitizers in every classroom, wipes, and then all students must wear their surgical mask or a K95 mask, no cloth mask. So again, just reinforcing those rules and expectations that will be reiterated on January 18th, first day back, first period from our dean virtually in the homeroom classrooms to all students. So as long as we're following all of our precautions and social distancing, we should keep the numbers down. And we have a better idea of where students are in the building for contact tracing. And that was the other reason for changing the lunch periods.
I think we have time for one more question. And that question is that should students be in full uniform next week? Or have you considered allowing them to be out of uniform the first week back in school?
No, all students will be in full uniform Tuesday, the 18th, back to normal schedule, back to learning in uniform.
I think we can do one more question, and somebody's asking, what is the accuracy of our COVID tests?
So after speaking with our new vendor, MME Group, that was one of the questions we asked. The rapid tests are, the efficacy rates less reliable. He said between 50 to 70%, but we are using the PCR test, which is about 90% higher, 90% or more in regards to the efficacy and the accuracy with the results.
The last question that somebody just asked, but I just want to be sure that we reiterate this, is that are there no ventilators in the building to help with reducing the virus in the classes?
So every room has an air purifier with a HEPA filter that captures the virus. So every room has a portable air purifier. I don't think it's technically a ventilator, but an air purifier.
Yeah, that's what she meant. So an air purifier, it's called PuraShield. And those were purchased last year when COVID first hit, and that was installed in every classroom. So this is going on year 2 with, they're changed. The filters are changed as well.
KN95 masks, will we have them? Will we?
Well, you can bring your own K95 or we provide the surgical mask. They look like this. So we have several boxes, and this is another option as well.
Ideally, students would come with their own because they'd have to enter the building without a mask, to get a mask.
Right.
Unfortunately, we are running on time. I know that there are other questions that people have, but we do encourage you to follow up with us via email, and we will try to get any questions or concerns that you have about our return to school answered. And also just stay tuned to your emails, because we will be communicating this information via written form in email. And this recording, this presentation is being recorded and will also be available on our YouTube channel by the end of the week. Before we end here tonight, I just want to thank our panelists, Ms. Mahone, Mr. Malloy, Mr. Bopp, for all of the information that they provided for tonight. I want to just go ahead and pass things off back to President Bopp to sort of close us out and lead us out for tonight.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks, everybody, for your concern. Please know that your student safety is our utmost concern. That goes in a lot of different directions. One of those is their academic work. We believe that the best environment for them to learn is at Holy Trinity. We have taken what we believe are all the precautions that we possibly can to ensure their safety. We changed the schedule. We made sure that those particular times during the day when there were large crowds, like for lunch, were eliminated. We have really done an excellent job up until the Christmas season of avoiding COVID. But the Omicron virus was just too much for us to handle at the end. I believe that if you look at statistics, if you look at the CDC, if you look at almost every educational diary or journal, they all say the same things. For students to catch up for what they miss, they must be in person. So we're going to do everything we can to ensure that we have a very safe environment, but we're going to encourage our students to come back to school and follow all the new rules. Those include the mask, those include social distancing, those include in the morning separation in the auditorium. Believe me, we tried to think through every element of this issue. It's not hard to understand all of the controversy, but we believe after 2 weeks of planning that we are prepared for your students to come back to school. We will keep you informed every step of the way. If things change, we will let you know immediately. But believe us, we are studying the issue each and every day. We are looking at all of our different options. We believe that this is the best option now for Holy Trinity and for our students. We hope you have faith in us and trust us in our decision. We look forward to your input, and let's have a great return to school next week. Thank you all. God bless you for your faith in Holy Trinity, and we look forward to seeing you all very soon, especially our students. Thank you, Nara. Thank you, John. Thank you, Charles, for a job well done. And thanks again to all of our parents for their concern, their passion, and their belief in Holy Trinity. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.